This is nothing new, I'm telling you. This is the history of those who get there. The chairman personally called me up and said, my store is blocked, it's not connected to the consumer. And therefore, the stock or inventories are accumulating in the warehouse, in the store, and people are very frustrated. These are human things, and some are better than others, but you can practice those. You can get advisors to help you. But if a person's integrity is in question, you got a problem.
Hey everyone, on behalf of BITSoM and Founding Fuel, it's my absolute pleasure and delight to have this conversation with Professor Ram Charan. I've known the professor for more than 25 years. He taught me at a Unilever General Manager course in 4 Acres, London. And after that, I've stayed in touch with him. So it's an absolute delight to do this for you. Professor, welcome. And I know that you're in Phuket, Thailand, and thank you very much for giving us your time.
Thank you, Shiva. It's great to see you. Long time, wonderful. You actually helped me in my book some 25 years ago. Great things, you made real great progress, and I'm delighted. I love to share what I know. At the same time, you have great questions, and I learn from your questions. I think it's a wonderful thing to do.
Thank you, Professor. So I have 10 questions for you, Professor, and we are titling this the Playbook for Tomorrow. And these 10 questions are around the individual, the organization, and the leader. I will start with the individual part first. The first question I have is, there is discussion about the Great Resignation. In a recent Microsoft study, 41% of global employees said they were looking out, and 61% of Indian employees said they were looking out. What advice would you have for anyone entering the job market and also looking to switch?
You know, Shiva, you are a leader, you part of a big organization, you yourself leader, CEO of a particular unit. So we look at both sides of the coin, the individual going forward and the organization creating jobs and matching the two. The key word is matching. What you need and what the person actually offers and has the potential to grow. So to your question, which is building somebody's life, building a nation, is the individual to figure out what is this person's natural gift, raw talent. Work on that raw talent in applied ways. Now, we have in India and across the world, in sports, actual search is done to find people who have a raw talent for bowling, raw talent for wicket keeping, raw talent of playing at the bets. We have all those. Same thing, we go to school, we go to university. We learn a lot in compressed time. So each of us try to figure out what is our natural talent, what's our raw talent. Shape it, practice it like an Olympic champion, look for an opportunity where you go and deploy it. But at the same time in that job, see if you get the opportunity to learn and grow. No Olympic champion ever survives or become one without matching that passion for the sports the person chooses. So we have from mid-tier schools, Patna, Ghaziabad. These are not the top tier schools, but there's the raw talent. They got good teachers. And that raw talent really not necessarily number one in the IQ, but that talent is very much needed. And you search for those jobs. And you search for your first boss who will grow you, who will structure your assignment to make more natural to your talent.
Okay.
You are the captain of your life.
Thank you, Professor. That's very, very well said. So looking ahead, Professor, at an individual level, what skill set should an individual have or focus on if we look at a horizon of about 5 years from now?
You see, Shiva, I learned from you, I watched you. There are some that will make you excel, and they are called foundational. And the one that is across the globe in every language, at every job, every human being. And that is not negotiable. Listening skill. It's a big deficit in companies. Communication skill. Working with people skill. Collaboration skill. Now I come to your question. If you are in these 4 skills, extraordinary, it will take you, no matter what your job is, to the end of the earth. As I say, if you had a 5th one, and that is what you promise to deliver, you will never starve. You will excel, you will lead people. Now come to the educational skills. We know the whole global economy is going to be digital. Just the way we learn multiplication tables. We were taught in my childhood 70 years ago, they called pahale. We used to recite them before the school finished. You must learn digitization. You must learn algorithms. You must learn how they do that. It is going to be ubiquitous. It's going to be pervasive in everything we do. Get hold of it. Don't shy away from it. That is going to be a universal need for everybody. Get it now. Become comfortable. Go after it. Of all the things you're doing, you learn. And second thing, that pick a domain area first, master it. But more importantly, how the domain area is going to be changed by the algorithms, machine learning. So if you're in chemistry, that's the domain knowledge. How does it change? In physics, how does it change? If you're in mechanical engineering, how does it change? If you're in the automotive industry, how Tesla is changing it.
Thank you, Professor.
Then go back to your first question. What's your passion? What's your raw talent? Let that drive you. What skills you need to learn. A large part of your learning is going to be done at home.
Which is what I was going to lead to. The next question is, how should an individual learn when he's working from home? Because there's no on-the-job training, there's no learning by watching leaders. So how should an individual cope on his learning agenda?
Great point. Shiva, as you know, in my life, 50 years across the globe, I met people who never could go to school. They were the outstanding leaders. Go back. In India, we didn't have all these telephones, schools. People in the villages, no schools. How did they learn? They read, they talked. Today, the data, information available instantly and free. Learning through reading, watching. Today we have visual. We didn't have in those days. You can create buddy system via Zoom. In YPO, we have buddy system across boundaries, across countries. They exchange ideas. So the learning drive is you. It's not somebody else. People who grow, nothing stops them from learning. You know where I came from. Absolutely. I was turned out of a class because I had no books.
Amazing story. I'll now move to the organization, Professor. Is how should organizations think about seamlessly integrating what I call the omni way of working? Work from home, work from anywhere, work from office. What are mistakes they could possibly end up with when they try to do this?
Yeah, I think, Shiva, I'm writing something on it. I'll take you through a little slowly on this. it could be helpful for you and the Birla Group. The first thing, all the organization must come to terms. It's neither 100% home nor 100% office. So what? In between. Whatever the in between is going to be done by company, by industry, by location. To do that, the most critical criteria is for the company people to define the groups that have to work together, have a collaboration, and have an output. For example, product development. Product development requires multiple functions, multiple people. And you say there is a group across the globe, across the function. This group is going to produce, develop, design a product A. Who are these people? Who is the leader of it? Leader gets a choice to work with the group, match their aspirations and availability. So they have a choice which part at home, which part in the office, or maybe no office. If they are global, they make in a city, they go for a week, they get together, getting it done, have a social gathering. Now, this collaboration is the major reason where integration of things have to be done. Tasks will change, conditions will change. So how do we do that? Guess in the world who does it? Crew designing, allocating in airline industry. They don't go to the office.
Yeah.
There is no office. Pilots, there is no office.
Yeah.
So each company must create database for each employee, be able to 24/7 have an office, really figure out all the collaborative groups that have to be. There has to be a leader of each group. That leader is empowered to do this. Data is available 24/7. Decentralize it. More than a third of your office space will not be needed. Get the software from the airline industry. The differences in airline, the crew does the service. In the industry, you create new knowledge, new uncertainties. The control on the people is done through algorithms, what they're doing, where they're doing, what they need. And then the manager for these people's job is assigning goals, coaching real time, providing resources. Command control is basically taken over by the use of algorithms.
Thank you, Professor. My next question, fifth question is, digital has accelerated stroke advanced by 5 years as far as the consumer is concerned. Today, we have a 24/7 consumer wanting medicine, wanting food, wanting advice, everything 24/7. Some organizations have stepped up and some haven't. What input would you have for companies to pivot faster to digital?
So a book is coming out on that for me. It's just going to print. It's called Digital Dilemma. And in this book, I lay out that there are myths, the organizations that are not doing it, that must be eliminated. And I mean eliminated. Myth is too expensive. It takes too long. They've come to realize that it is needed because they're losing market share against those who are using it. And they are really like a deer in the headlights. Now, so the people who are not doing it yet, they must come to terms. There are minimum a dozen Indian firms, all in India. These firms are 100 million, 200 million in sales. They are purely digital. They will come to you. They will do free for you how to start digitization. They will take one project, I'll give you an example, and they will deliver those results to you in 10 weeks. And you can create your pricing, but they will deliver you some results in 10 weeks. So your losses are very few. And they will teach you that you don't need ERP, you don't need SAP. You can do with the existing IT, or you can take variable cost. So let me give you an example. One day I got a call with the CEO of a very, very large apparel company. that has stores in India, but this company headquarters are outside India. The chairman personally called me up and said, my store is blocked, it's not connected to the consumer. And therefore, the stock or inventories are accumulating in the warehouse, in the store, and people are very frustrated. So he wanted my help. So I said, yes, I will get it done for you. So I called a company called UST Global. It's Orange County. It's Trivandrum. Fantastic company. I'm on the board. And so I called the CEO. Within 2 days, the team of the non-Indian company got synchronized. The Indian company, UST Global, went after it. Within 7 days, they began to work. In 9 weeks, everything began to flow. Results, hard cash, satisfaction of customer. So we now have these companies who will fix for you. We can get you the names. That's not a big deal. They are there. They are not big companies like TCS, like Wipro, like Infosys. They are great companies, but they do bigger jobs. These companies, these are the people came from those companies, IBM, Accenture, starting their own, but they are there to deliver results. Take a project, get it done, build confidence, do the learning, and you will be on your way.
Thank you, Professor. My next question for you, Professor, is what are the positives and challenges of a digital business model? A model all of us recognize will virtually become a dominant model or the default model for most businesses.
Yeah, Shiva, this is a business acumen question. That's what I'd like to take you through. And that is that the business model is designed by business people. And they see how machine learning can change that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not so much the digital. It is application of digital changing your business model. For example, this is old. We did that in India. I was there 50 years ago. It was done then, but done mechanically. Today, you are connecting with a consumer like me, like you. We are getting data of our exchange with the company. We're using this data for machine learning, for algorithms. We find out what you like. We send you an email. We get more revenues. Your model is changed. Netflix does it. Starbucks, 12 million individualized coupons every day worldwide. Those coupons are given to create brand to Uber drivers. Go and get a cup of coffee. Builds the brand. So digitization accelerates your business model for revenues, for cost. So one day a gentleman talked to me, a gentleman in India who worked for Amazon. He was recruited from Microsoft. His job was to cut the costs and cycle time from the station that the delivery of merchandise to the individual consumer. He was given 12 people. Eventually, he had 100. In 2 years, he cut the cost by a factor of 10. That's a different business model. So the business people, leaders must learn how algorithms, machine learning can change your money-making model. They should study Amazon very carefully, Apple carefully, and study their business model, not technology model, for this purpose.
Okay. Let's move to leadership now, Professor. Then the last section. What new skill sets should a leader develop for the future? Especially now that a leader engages with people, talks to people, etc. Now he doesn't have the comfort of that in many a case. So what are the new skill sets that he should develop or she should develop?
Yeah, Shiva, if you look at the history of human beings, all the skills have been told by so many people. What's different, as the conditions change, some skills become more important or imperative than others. So in terms of personality, the most critical skill today and personality is dealing with uncertainty, volatility. That is, you learn when people go to fight in army, they're trained for fear. The pandemic showed, did you have the courage to deal with it when you don't have cash, how to figure it out? So the personality part is you build your agility, your resilience, your ability to say, okay, this thing came, nobody could predict. Now, how are we going to do better than anybody? You know, there's the story that Muhammad Ali, when he was preparing for fighting Fraser, he got a guy from the prison on some permission to train him on hitting in his stomach. That's how he beat in the 12th round. So we got to all psychologically prepare. This is not the last pandemic. This is not the last volatility. This is not the last volatility of economics. Practice it, learn it, get ready for it. Number two, you got to look 10 years out and work backwards. We know for sure what will happen 10 years out. There's no question that the trend for net zero is going to happen. There's no question we have globs of data. We will not know how to deal with it. We will know more that the people want freedom from tyranny of bureaucracy and command and control. More people will do individual small groups work as consulting. Work backwards from there, what's new? Where do we focus? The technology trends, the application of machine learning and algorithms for every single science has begun, because the markets with people who have capital, enormous capital at low cost, are funding these experiments. We have younger generation coming in, and they can start a company to learn with very little money, because most of the things they can get on a variable cost basis. Entrepreneurial skills are mandatory.
Thank you, Professor. You answered the eighth one also, which I had in mind in this wonderful answer. How does a leader inspire when he doesn't see people face to face? And how will trust in leadership evolve in a digital world?
It's a great question. Remember, we didn't have television before 1950s.
Yeah.
Did we have radio? Did we inspire by voice?
Yeah.
Did we have sermons in church?
Yeah.
We had church, we had sermons on the radio. It's the words. It's the tone. It's the relevance. It is, in quotes, connecting with the individuals. You know, when a boss says to some individual and says, you know, what you just did was great. I think it will go a long way this way. It takes 30 seconds. The recipient knows he cares. The communicator knows that I can show you a path.
Okay. That's absolutely
You don't
true.
need,
Analogy
you
of,
don't need visual.
yeah.
Visual helps. There is no substitute for physically together.
Yeah.
But not having it is not the right limitation.
Absolutely. And I think Roosevelt, Churchill, Gandhi, Nehru, everybody proved that through their outstanding speeches on the radio in mobilizing.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have that.
Yeah.
We have now incredible number of webinars, and we have people who have 3-minute videos on LinkedIn, and people see them and they get ideas.
My last question, Professor, for what's been an absolutely stimulating session so far is, leaders have not been good at developing partnerships because each company, each leader has always tried to get independent growth. A digital world forces you into what I call unlikely partnerships. Any advices to leaders on picking effective partners in their industry or outside their industry?
By clapping is done by both hands. It's both sides have to figure this out. And the key point is, the most important point, is the values and aspirations of both sides. Drill those, be specific. Learn those. There'll be some tolerance area. Nothing overcomes when one partner's aspirations and greediness versus the other partner. And they both don't create a new pie. These are human things, and some are better than others, but you can practice those. You can get advisors to help you. But if a person's integrity is in question, you got a problem.
Excellent. That's been a fantastic set of 10 questions and answers, Professor, from you. Any final words? As you travel the world, you advise most of the companies. Any advice for young managers as they set out?
Yeah, young managers and the people going to the school, the institute you're building. And that is, if you're not learning every day, you will be behind. I like people to take to the heart. A person who's learning useful things every day in 365 days is far ahead than those who are not. The cumulative effect has the effect of compound interest. But learning in a practical way, useful way, expanding your knowledge, expanding your capacity, expanding your capability intellectually. In that sense, I'm talking. And I see the differentiations. The people who were nobodies became somebodies. This is their habit. I'm allowed to see them one-on-one. This is nothing new, I'm telling you. This is the history of those who get there.
Very true. Thank you, Professor, for your time. It's been wonderful, and have a very pleasant trip to Thailand, and stay safe. And as always, inspire us through your books, through your thoughts, and through your ideas.
Thank you. And by the way, Shiva, I mentioned to Sandeep, I think, have everybody read the book, my book, Amazon Management System.
Yes, I've read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You sent me the draft of it when you wrote it. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. This is the, if you want to speed and innovation, this is it. For everyone to create their own career, coming from nobody. Today, the #2 man in Amazon, when he was recruited, was a band leader. And now he progressed all the way to be #2.
Yeah.
Raw talent, learning, going, building. Today, they allocate $60 billion for technology alone last year. And there in 1997, it's zero.
True.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely do that.
25 years. Yeah.
25 years.
In one lifetime. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be here. I'm a great fan of Mr. Birla of the Institute. I'm a great fan of you and your colleagues. You do a great service for the nation. We should proceed ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much.